he's currently leading FMEA COE, Master DFMEA, internal and external DFMEA reviews, Mr. Venugopal Pandurang Lalgeri.
So with that, we need to think a different way of approach. Innovation is definitely a prime contributor with that.
So things on paper often look very perfect, very nice, or on the computer, but when you start applying it, there is so much the real world adds, right?
Where I contributed over 200 crores cumulative savings and filed patents and also win some innovation awards.
Hello everyone and welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm your host Tanayol and today's guest is someone who lives at the intersection of innovation, quality and real world engineering pressure. The kind of pressure where a tiny decision inside a part can become a massive customer complaint in the market. Joining me is Mr. Venugopal Pandurang Lalgeri, Assistant Manager Engineering at International Automotive Components, Pune, and a product development leader with 18 years of experience building and improving products across automotive interiors, instrument clusters, telematics and EV systems, and even consumer appliances like washing machines and refrigerators. Sir, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you, Tane. It's truly pleasure being here. And what excites me here is it brings the human side of leadership here and more discussing with you about the journey and other aspects. So excited to be a part of the journey.
Lovely, sir. Before we jump in, I want to tell all our listeners what makes Mr. Venugopal's journey fascinating is the range. He's worked across automotive and appliances, across design, development, testing, quality systems, and he's currently leading FMEA COE, Master DFMEA, internal and external DFMEA reviews, and even the innovative initiative at IAC. He's also been recognized multiple times, trainer appreciation, quality month contributions, coaching teams on tools like AIPS, awards for delivery and innovation, and wave-driven wins that directly impacted business results. But to start with, sir, we would love to know about your beginning. Like when people look at your profile today, they see a senior engineering leader, 18 years of product development, quality systems, cross-functional leadership, but no career starts fully formed, right? So if you look back now, not at the job titles, but at the moments, where do you think this journey really began for you?
Yeah. So my journey began not at the design office. It started with the NTTF, which is called Network Technical Training Foundation, where I got trained in tool engineering, tool and die making, which we call it as, where I was spending hours in shop floor, making molds, and that early exposures gave me clarity on how the design would be happening at a real case scenario. And then this learning went wrong at initial stage. As a part of initial stage, we will be fresh in the mind. So we were doing some mistakes from which we'll be learning it. So there were, and in early stage in Videocon and higher, I was overseeing the customer complaints, field failures, etc. There were some kind of customer complaints which was frustrating and uncomfortable. But that all frustrations forced me to ask the questions like ask the questions where what is going wrong. And there I came to know that there were some design reviews which are getting missed. And with that, I looked about going to the problem solving techniques, which is called as FMEA, failure mode and defect analysis, system thinking, and risk prevention. So with that, later in the journey, I was taking care of agile implementation, which surfaced the risk very early at the stage of the product development. And later, with the agile principles, we surfaced the risk at the early stage. And going ahead, I was also part of a VAVE initiative during the journey, where I contributed over 200 crores cumulative savings and filed patents and also win some innovation awards. And with today, I am in at ISE. At ISE, most of the failures are not at technical, but there are some assumptions which are getting missed. So in ISE, I lead the FMEA Centre of Excellence and train the teams as an internal trainer along with innovation initiatives. If I summarize, the journeys was very up and down, and with a good positive approach, I was able to overcome the problems and what you can say, like customer satisfaction was being increased.
Yeah, and from the start journey to achieving so much, I'm sure it must have been quite a pleasure to reach where you are now.
Yeah.
All right, sir, I want to take the audience straight into your current world at ISE. You're leading FMEA COE, driving Master of DFMEA, and you're also leading the organization's innovative initiative, which is interesting because people
Yeah.
assume innovation is always new features. In your experience,
Yeah.
what's the most common way teams accidentally design in risk? Like, what's the one pattern you keep seeing where everything looks fine on CAD, but later it becomes a failure mode in real life?
Yeah, let me start with a familiar situation, Tane, where CAD, as you said, CAD looks fine in the computer because in computer everything looks very fascinating and very appreciating way. So, but when it comes at an actual scenario, it definitely fails in the market and in the different scenarios. And more accidental risk like clip is getting loosened or tolerance are getting overlooked, or environmental which is not what you can say supportive to us, like weather conditions, humidity, temperature, etc. So with this, CAD alone cannot simulate all these entities aspects. So with that, we also introduced a CE simulations during the journey, where computer aided engineering gives you the real world scenario, how heat is getting appreciated and humidity is getting appreciated, human behavior also is getting visualized, all those with that computer aided analysis, with that all data bank. So at ISE, I'm making the master DFMEA, what you call it, a design failure mode and defect analysis, where I was seeing the similar patterns repeating again and again. So with that FMEA approach, I started all those datas, what all the failures are coming, and made a database, call it as a past trouble database. With that past trouble database, we saw that multiple failures were on the similar pattern. So with that, we came to know that I came to know that it should and also a cross-functional team we approach was also necessary to understand what happens at the manufacturing area. So because design in computer it's okay, but at manufacturing area we don't know what people will understand, be feeling with at the manufacturing line. So with that approach, like with that approach, we saw that failures were repeating. So with the DFME approach, we started reducing those failures, and assumptions was being eliminated. So with that, overall, if I summarize the design risk, design is deliberate. It is not deliberately slipped. So, but it under the pressure, there are certain things which will happen. So, with that FME approach addressing, we could reduce the customer complaints and increase the satisfaction.
Very rightly said, sir. Things on paper often look very perfect, very nice, or on the computer, but when you start applying it, there is so much the real world adds, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So let's talk about something extraordinary I noticed. 3F, fit, feel, and finish. When you're building
yeah.
products like cockpits, instrument panels, consoles, how do you actually engineer feel? Like, what are the hidden things you pay attention to? Texture, gaps, squeaks, vibrations, long term aging. What is
Yeah.
it so a vehicle interior still feels solid after years?
Yeah. Yes, this is very good questions which you have asked. In automotive currently, earlier at 18 years back, only fit, feel, finish was there. So 3F conditions were being. When you enter the car, earlier it was more over mechanical, and it was just it was only being used for the what you can say only to travel from a place A to place B. But nowadays it has become a part of our journey, because from one point to another point we definitely invest 1 hour minimum for on one side. So the aesthetics inside the automotive is most important. So now it has become a perceived quality, what we say it as, instead of 3F fit, feel, finish, now it has been termed as a perceived quality, where minor gaps, noises and all are being tracked. So there were only with the we it has to be a engineering discipline which has to come in. So like a tolerance stack up, material behavior and vibration acoustics behavior also are there, and we need to understand the certain components where we over a period of time where the agings are getting thing, where we use rubber components or certain plastic components over a period of time, it definitely goes on deteriorating parts. That and all has to be taken care. So at in ISC and Minda, we introduced NVH, noise vibration harshness techniques, where we also we it is called as a BSR, burst squeeze rattling thing. So there we simulate the real world scenario, and also we take the prototype vehicle to the different stakeholders at the customer level, and CEO connects are there, and what you can say platform heads, where they feel the car, and they get the wow effect, where feel is most important. So with that finalization of the concepts, we start making all the further development and activity. So nowadays that pursuit quality is most important, and if there is any lack of the pursuit quality, nobody will buy the car, because nowadays it has become a premium segment, because nobody is interested in the small vehicle, because many people are using a premium vehicle, they give money for that, so they definitely want certain wow effect into that. So the haptics a part of the thing, that is also one of the key aspect. So with that and also we have to with constant evaluations in the journey, we need to get confidence of the customer as well. With that customer is the most important thing who will be driving our vehicle. So with those confidence, definitely the design risk could be taken care in the early stage of the thing. With that, definitely manufacturing would be easy for that.
Yeah, I think people now look at cars very differently. So when that changes, the design and everything also changes with that.
Yeah.
So you've done wave and cost optimization seriously, like the kind that moves business numbers, not just spreadsheets. When leadership
Yeah.
says we need cost reduction, the lazy approach is to cut features, but the smart approach is to engineer value. So what's your personal
Yeah.
approach to wave? Like how do you reduce cost without damaging reliability or customer experience? And could you share one example?
Yeah, definitely. Early stage when when I have started my career, so definitely I was a part of VAV initiatives in the earlier stage of my thing. Definitely, people would they say, as you said rightly, cost cutting only is the part where the VAV. VAV, firstly, I would tell VAV is the value analysis and value engineering. So the full form of the VAV is value analysis and value engineering. We take care of the value, not a cost reduction. So yes, cost reduction is a part of that initiative, but yes, cutting features is not at all a viable solutions. But yeah, that is a part of journey. And nowadays, what has happened is we have what you can say approach is also different. So with that thing, for me, VAV is adding value instead of reducing the features, adding value to the customer without any cost increase. So that would definitely help the customer margins also, and also our margins also, and there will be definitely a win-win situation with that. So reduced BOM cost. BOM is bill of material cost. If you reduce it, definitely it will help us in our business numbers. With that VAV approach, yeah, as I earlier said in my early journey, I was able to contribute towards 200 crores of cumulative savings in entire journey. So with that, certain things were very good, and also just by adding the value and reducing the features would definitely not help the customers to win the market. We need to verify, validate all those ideas, what all ideas are getting generated by validating it. There would be certain environmental test or certain humidity test, or some certain test would be definitely there, type test would be there. So definitely with that validation, all those aspects would be cleared. And VAV is not an easy job. First, the thing is that VAV is not at all an easy job. New development is very easy. The people will get the requirement and they'll understand it and do that product design. Once the product design is done, reducing the cost is very tricky. So with that, we need to think a different way of approach. Innovation is definitely a prime contributor with that, whether we need a secondary process or certain things are getting updated. So we need to see how it will help others, and with both win-win situations, definitely we can achieve the VAV. And if I summarize VAV, my VAV philosophy is don't cut the features, engineer the product. The best engineered product is a valued product to the customers, and ultimately he is paying. Customer is paying to the car or certain commodities. With that, definitely, if he is getting the value out of that particular product, then definitely he would be happy to pay with the premium. With that, definitely we will be able to achieve the VAV initiatives.
Yeah, very well said, sir. Okay, sir, now time to switch gears, our very own rapid fire round. A few quick
Yeah,
questions, and if you can, some quick answers. Are you ready?
yeah, definitely.
Lovely, lovely. So, what's something you changed your mind about as you got older?
Change my mind is speed over clarity. Nowadays, the speed is getting increased, but clarity should be more important before the speed.
Yeah,
Hitting
yeah.
the target is okay, but at first time right is most important. Clarity should be most thing.
Your most irrational pet peeve.
Pet view is assumptions without data, where we have assumptions without any data. That will definitely end up with a different tangent, and we will definitely fail.
If you had to eat one cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
As I am a South Indian, I definitely love South Indian cuisine.
A book you always
I
recommend.
recommend, yeah,
Yeah.
I always recommend to read Bhagavad Gita, which will definitely help all the mankind at any point of time. And Shiv Charitra, where Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, which is an idol, what I can say, idol for us. So who has built entire nation. So his autobiography or biography or his charitra, what we call that.
Your personal definition of a perfect day.
Perfect day is solving a problem before customer feels it. That would be the perfect day.
One thing you're currently learning.
Currently, over a period of time, I have learned engineering. Now I have to move ahead in the life. So I have to learn governance, board level risk, and how it has to be rectified.
If time suddenly slowed down for a year, what would you do more of?
Mentoring engineers, because the what we learned that has to be transferred to the next generation, and that generation has to learn from our mistakes, and the mistake should not repeat.
And finally, what does success look like to you?
Building systems which outlast the time, that is the
Yeah.
only success.
Lovely, sir. Thank you so much for the rapid fire round. Now back to the slightly more serious questions.
Yeah.
So now we'll go to something that is important because in product engineering, ethics isn't philosophical, it's physical, it becomes safety. You're certified
Yeah.
in FMEA and you're a product safety and conformity representative, so you live close to
Yeah.
real accountability, right? So, without
Yes.
naming companies or individuals, have you ever come across a pattern of shortcut culture, where teams try to pass something with documentation that looks fine, but the real risk is still alive underneath?
Yeah, definitely. Uh, Let me describe a situation when many engineers recognize the project timeline is very tight. Nowadays, earlier in before 18 years, the product development was done 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But now it has been reduced to 18 months, 2 years down the line. So with that reduced timeline, definitely documentation of the particular activity is very very crucial for that now, which many engineers miss for that. So with that documentation, missed documentation, where shortcut culture is definitely not recommended. So but it is not a part of their internal integral part, but due to the timeline restrictions it definitely happens. But there is a what I can say, as an FMEA leader or PSR leader, I definitely rely on these three principles where evidence based sign off. Whenever there is an assumptions and whenever there is an idea which is getting generated, it has to be evident and that evidence has to get signed off. Without getting signed off, the ideas will definitely say that okay, it was not like that. But the sign off will definitely give the credibility to the idea, the one point. And raising early red flag by engineers, that would be another what I can say good what I can say principles, because engineers raise a red flag at a later stage. It has to be then definitely it will be a risk for the project. It has to be red flag has to be raised at the early stage at a requirement analysis, where definitely it can happen very good at a later stage. Then the third is an independent DFMEA and cross-functional collaboration, because an independent contributor will definitely overlook of all the aspects like quality, customer satisfaction, process, everything. All those points would be taken at and it would be considered when he is an independent. If he is being dependent, he will definitely get biased, because yes, it is my baby, I have done my best. But if somebody third party is getting certified, then definitely it would be a add-on advantage for that. That is why evidence-based sign off is also is a correlated with this principle. With these three principles, definitely we will be able to reduce the failures which is created by a shortcut culture. And definitely with shortcut, definitely people will release the design or manufacture the product. But at a later stage, if the failures comes, then definitely a launch will get delayed. It will postpone from either April to December, that 6 months or 7 months, it will get delayed to fix that issues. So that definitely will be a negative burning out of the resources. So with that, there should not be any shortcut culture in any of the company. But yes, definitely there are certain cases where we need to cautiously do a shortcut, but that has to be calculated and with a known risk, it has to be addressed. And Tani, if I see as a summary of the shortcut in entire journey, so it is not about coming as a integral part, because of a pressure, definitely the things will get slipped. So we need to restrict our timeline, and the timeline has to be well communicated. And if there is any change in the certain timeline, it has to be communicated, and then it has to be mutually agreed, and then definitely there will be a win-win situation for that. So this is how mutual consent should be there with customer and us.
Yeah, yeah. There needs to be a proper discussion about everything.
Yeah.
Sir, you've already built a deep career. You've shipped products, scaled systems, coached teams, led quality initiatives. So here's what I'm curious about. What made you decide to
Yeah.
join the Directors Institute at this stage of your journey? Like when you walked into the program, what were you hoping to gain? And was there anything that surprised you or challenged how you were already thinking?
Yeah, Tane, thank you. That was a very good question. As Over 18 years of journey, when I started my career at tool room and now leading the certain initiatives in the company, I have done certain product launches and done certain savings and done patent filings as well, and leading quality initiatives. Now I feel that I have to elevate myself in upper level with that thought and research of the thing. So I thought that the director institute would definitely support me in my thought process, and that decision made me accountable for me as well, because definitely if I have to do a decision, then I have to own the decision as well. So that with FMEA trainer and certified FMEA representative, all those would be definitely helping me the further journey. And yes, early what we fail, whatever failures are happening with me, if I during the elevation stage, definitely Director Institute will definitely help me, and they are helping me a lot. Because at a board level, there would be a much more risk which is getting involved, and that has to be well addressed, and that has to be highlighted at a particular point, and then all those areas we need to address, and there will be definitely a blind spot which will be there. Director Institute is helping me to identify those blind spot and do certain research on me, whether I am lacking behind with certain knowledges or certain skills which I have to upgrade myself. So with that approach, I joined the Director Institute, and very happy to be a part of that. And definitely safety, ethics, risk, all those are there, definitely will be there in board level also. With that engineering executive thing, now I've taken the decision to elevate myself to a board level. So definitely Director Institute would help me, and they are also helping me with that. And I'm thank you for the Director Institute to support me in this regards.
Lovely, sir. Thank you so much for those kind words. This has been a genuinely energizing conversation. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
your journey from building products across appliances and automotive to leading quality
yeah,
and innovation systems at scale to training teams, mentoring engineers, and bringing that strong ethics and safety lens into how products are built. So, thank you so much for that, sir.
yeah. Thank you, Tani, and it is a good meeting to you. And keep in touch so that we will definitely have a good time in future.
For sure, sir. To everyone
Yeah,
listening, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. If there's one takeaway from this episode, it's this: great products don't happen by luck, they happen when leaders build systems that reward clarity, accountability, and craft. I'm Taneol, and this has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.